Hey everyone, sitting down again with Lance from ViewShoot, and we're just going to hop right into it today. I'm doing a series of interviews all about different companies and different software out there that has the capability to help real estate photographer with scheduling, booking, delivery processes. So anyway, here we have Lance from ViewShoot. Welcome.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks a lot for having me on. I really appreciate it. I think this is a great idea to give real estate photographers just an idea of kind of what's available to them in terms of systems to help their businesses run more efficiently.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to do it as well. And I think you're going to be a great interview here because I've researched a little bit about ViewShoot. You guys have some great offers here. I think you're one of the most affordable options for sure. But I don't want to say too much more. I'm going to let you get right into it. The format for anybody who hasn't watched one of these before, we do a 10-minute presentation of Lance just talking. So I'll back off and let him talk, and then we'll have 10 minutes of follow-up questions by me. You ready to go, Lance?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
All righty. So again, my name is Lance. I'm the founder of ViewShoot.com. And I think it'd be a little helpful to kind of describe my background, where I came from, and how ViewShoot came to be. I graduated out of college with a computer science degree. So I started a job in corporate America doing web development for internal businesses. So none of my stuff was external at the time. Just help data processing and that type of thing for a big phone company. After that, I started working with a guy who put his house up on the market, and his real estate agent came over and took pictures, and they weren't very good. You know, we could recognize right away that, hey, the house looks way better in person than it does with these pictures. So, you know, being tech people, we kind of wondered, you know, maybe we could take, you know, better pictures of this house. So we went and looked online. I believe that I found photographyforrealestate.net, the blog, and kind of combed through and tried to figure out, you know, what people are doing, how they're taking photos of real estate properties. And we gave it a shot. We literally went and I rented a camera, I rented a lens, we took some pictures of his house, went through and tried to edit them as best we could, obviously not knowing anything at the time. And it turned out really well. We had a lot of great feedback. He had a real estate agent across the street that he was friends with that we showed them to. And he kind of gave us the idea that, hey, maybe there's a business here. So we ended up kind of running with it. So this was in 2010. We started the business. We were both still working for corporate America at the time in the same department. And we kind of just started doing this on the side. We kind of got in contact with some real estate agents and started shooting their properties for them. And slowly, by word of mouth, the business started to grow. So fast forward to 2012. So for 2 years, I spent working my day job at corporate America. Luckily, I was able to work out both. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I was luckily able to do both jobs at the same time, shooting in the morning, working a second shift for corporate America, editing at night, just rinse and repeat. And in 2012, I had to make a decision. What do I do? Because the business had grown so much over that time. Do I, you know, try to go full time with it, which is something that I haven't really experienced before. I haven't really been close to anybody that's had their own business. Or do I stay with something that I felt was more secure, corporate America? I chose to go the real estate photography route. So in 2012, I left, and I still have the business today. So it's been about 13 years now that I've had the real estate photography business side of it. And then in 2013, I was just discussing on some blogs or some forums online with other real estate photographers, and they noticed that I had created a little tiny back-end login system for my clients. It allowed them to make payments for pictures, and it delivered the pictures. Very simple. In terms of functionality, it was very simple at the time. They were asking, you know, hey, is there any way that we can use this? And at the time, the answer was no. That system was completely developed just for my business by myself. It had no reason to be out, you know, for anybody else to use it. And in fact, it was all basically hard coded for just my company. So, you know, the logistics weren't there. but it gave me the idea that, hey, maybe, there is a need for this. I was fortunate enough, again, to have a bachelor's of computer science, so I like to do coding. I'm, pretty tech savvy, and I know that that's not the case for everyone. So I thought that maybe, something might be here where I could help other real estate photographers. So in 2015, ViewShoot.com went live. After about a year and a half or two of development, we went live, and I don't know for sure, but I think we might be the OG. I think at the time nothing existed. I'm not quite sure when all the rest of the platforms, went live in terms of their time periods. But we were one of the first, if not the first, to actually create a system specifically for real estate photographers. There were other systems out there for wedding photographers, portraits, that type of thing, but nothing specifically for real estate. So in 2015, ViewShoot went live. We developed ViewShoot specifically for companies like myself who were a one-man shop, who just needed a little bit of help in terms of scheduling photo shoots, delivering photos to clients, and accepting payments. So our main goal was to create a system that had a paywall where clients could receive their photos only after they paid, and on top of that, without the photographer having to be involved. So in the past, it was, before I had the system on my own, it was, I would have the pictures uploaded to something like Dropbox or Google Drive, and I would wait for the client to pay through PayPal and invoice. And then if I was out and about and I didn't see the email or whatever, it may take a few hours for me to get the photos delivered to the client. Or maybe they did it when I was sleeping, and, it took them a while to get their pictures back. So one of the main goals of ViewShoot was to allow all that to happen at any time of the day without the photographer having to do anything. So you upload your pictures, you accept or receive the payment or ask for the payment from the client, and then once the client pays, they immediately have access to the pictures without you doing anything. So that was goal number one. And then goal number two was, throughout this process, to make sure that this system for the average real estate photographer would cost less than one photo shoot for a full month's worth of service. So when we first initially started, we started with 3 plans, which we still have today. The pricing has changed slightly. However, we have remained, in our opinion, or in my opinion, where you can get the full end of our functionality at our top plan for less than what you likely charge as a real estate photographer for one photo shoot. Obviously, real estate photographers are on different levels. Some are just starting their business. They may, not be comfortable charging a higher rate, so their rate may be a little bit lower. But I'm confident that for real estate photographers who are doing this full time and who are running this as a business, we definitely are very affordable to utilize our services. As I mentioned, we have 3 monthly plans to choose from. Our rates are static, meaning you can expect, or you can know what you're going to be paying every month. The only time that fluctuates is if you have a number of photo shoots that are outside our monthly allotment, which you can find on our website at viewshoot.com. They're very reasonable, and there are actually quite few companies that reach that top limit, which is another goal of ours. We didn't want to, nitpick or nickel and dime and have all these extra fees added on. So most companies, they have a flat rate and they pay that flat rate, and so they know what to expect every month for their services. We started, like I said, very basic in terms of, this is a one-man shop type of person who's going to be using our system. And we had just Stripe implemented into the system, where that was the only payment processor that you could use. We've slowly, over time, since 2015, have increased the functionality, and we continue to do so to this day. So we started out with just Stripe, for example, and now we offer real estate photographers to utilize either PayPal or Square as well. Another example is, initially, the understanding was you only have one photographer in your company, and obviously that's not true. Not everybody runs their business that way. But again, we developed it with that in mind. However, over time, we realized that there can be more functionality added and more businesses helped by increasing the functionality in terms of, allowing multiple photographers, for instance. One of the biggest things that we've done recently is within the past couple of months, we have completely overhauled the look and the design of the system. Since 2015, it was the same thing. We just kept the design the same because it worked. No need to fix it if it wasn't broken. And we just kept adding, slowly functionality on top of it. But we realized that, obviously the look and what people expect to see changes over time. So we wanted to provide a facelift and modernize it. So now it's it's a much more current looking design and feel, and which adds a level of professionalism for real estate photography companies who utilize the system, as their clients are now seeing this, day in and day out. I think that there are many different systems. I kind of wanted to share many different systems, and you're going to be interviewing different people. And just like in real estate photography, for a company who is using their business, not everybody is a good fit for you. You're not going to be a good fit for every client, and every client's not going to be a good fit for you. I think it's the same with real estate photography systems online. Do your due diligence. Look and see what they offer, reach out to them and ask them if they need a certain criteria that you need, if there's something specific that you want in terms of functionality, and try them out. Take a look and see, find out what one meets your needs and provides you the most value, because the whole point of all these systems is for you to be more efficient as a business owner, and to help you in from ViewShoot standpoint, to save time and money, because we want you to get paid, and we want you to do it as efficiently as possible.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that was a great presentation, and I really like your whole mindset behind the whole thing. The fact that you're just a photographer getting started out and realizing there's a need in the industry, and then you started so long ago. I also love that you have the computer science background, because in my ideal world, I would love a system like this where a photographer who knows the skills that they need to build a good system does it. So that's you. Exactly. This is the person, I'm looking for. One thing I'd like to ask you about is, starting the follow-up section here, is can you just kind of do a quick lightning list of all the features that ViewShoot offers? Because there's all sorts of people out there offering different things. And anyway, just go ahead and knock out all the features you can think of that you guys offer. And I'm going to ask you some questions if you leave any out.
Okay. Yeah, sure thing. So I think that one of the biggest things to recognize in terms of a real estate photography system is we're just trying to solve problems. So a lot of the problems that we're solving, or you could say pain points, would be online payment. That's probably one of the biggest reasons people use a system, to have a paywall so that clients can pay and then have access to photos. Online booking, that's something that has expanded over time. We didn't have that in the beginning, but now you can book based off of photographer availability and based off the services that are offered for a specific appointment. There's payment reminders, so that if a client doesn't pay, the system will automatically remind the client, again, to help the real estate photography company receive the payment that's due. Appointment reminders, just either through email or text, to help remind clients of the appointment, so that you as a photographer don't show up. We know that happens all the time. And the property not be ready, or the client forgetting about the appointment. Tour links, that's something that a lot of people like to use and offer their clients. Basically a single property or a single page property website that shows all the media that has been uploaded.
You do have single page websites and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay,
in our basic plan, they are not included. You can purchase them a la carte, but in our second tier and our third tier, our full and premium plans, they're included for free on every shoot. You don't have to use them. They're just included for free. You can either turn them on or turn them off. What
Awesome.
else?
Let's see. I'll go ahead and ask you, and you can just say if
Yes.
you have these or not. Do you have like marking materials that are automatically created? Like if you upload pictures, it'll say like, "Hey, here's a great listing with the address and some photos and a good layout."
No, we don't have any flyers or any social media like template integrations.
And that's okay. Looking for what type of price people will be looking for here, and a good measure that I'm looking at is about 100 shoots per month, and it looks like that is one of your tiers. So your second level tier at $97 a month will cover 100 shoots. So that's less than $1 per shoot.
Yes, that's correct. Um,
That
and
is incredibly affordable. Like that, and I'm not saying you should raise your prices at all. Please leave them there. But just so that everyone can compare, if there's one thing that you're killing everybody on, it would be the fact that you are offering such an affordable product. So thank you. That's great
yeah,
of you.
for sure. And look, we didn't base. We're not trying to price compete on anybody. Our goal, from the outset was to keep our price underneath however much it would cost for a single photo shoot. But also keep in mind that our initial development of ViewShoot was for kind of like the mom and pop or like the one man shop type of company where, shooting 50 a month, like for a lot of people, that's a lot of photo shoots. So we don't want to, uh, block ViewShoot from, a smaller company who maybe can't afford something more expensive. We want to be able to have and allow a real estate photographer from any level be able to access a system like this. So yeah, our pricing definitely is affordable, and honestly, the majority of people that use our system probably don't even hit their monthly limit. But if you do, no big deal. There's just, you can go on vshoot.com and look at our plans. There's just a simple fee per additional photo shoot for any given month that you go over, and that price just gets added onto your invoice. But yeah, we try to keep it very reasonable in terms of cost.
That's awesome of you. I think that says a lot about who you are and what you're doing here, because you do have a good product. And I'm looking at viewshoot.com. You can see that their website looks great, but you can also see examples of their photo delivery system, their virtual tours. Uh, it's it looks good. Like you're certainly not getting a budget result for saving money. So you were really putting powerful tools in the hands for not a lot of money. Um, Now you don't have the flyers. That's not too big of a deal. I don't use flyers, and my clients don't buy them that often anyway. Um, do you have some of the advanced features like analytics for so people can see how many shoots they're doing a month, what their average order value is? Things like booking a twilight shoot. If someone orders a twilight, it'll create two separate appointments and even feature, for example, it'll give you a time window when the sunset sets in that specific area, which is pretty advanced. And there's also things where you can the scheduler will automatically take into account um, where a photographer is, and you can prioritize who gets the appointment based on their vicinity that day. So perhaps ViewShoot has these things, perhaps not, but it's not necessarily anything you need. And if you're saving $4 per shoot by not having those features, that's fine. A lot of people don't need those things. And frankly, one of the problems with some of these softwares that get so advanced is they get very hard to use because there's so many things. So, where does ViewShoot stand in all of this?
Yeah, great question. So our booking end, our booking side, our scheduling side, that is pretty recent, within the past couple of years. We up until that point, we actually didn't have online scheduling. Again, it was treated more as You as a photographer have a great relationship with an agent who you text or you email or they call and they schedule appointments, right? So you as a photographer would then input the appointment into the system. In time, that's obviously changed to where, maybe bigger companies have joined in and have realized that, hey, it would be nice if we had a way to automatically, divvy out appointments based off photographers, and let clients schedule things on their own. Basically,
Mhm.
to see availability is the biggest thing. Agents just want to know, when can I have a shoot done? So we've added that. We don't have the advanced functionality in terms of coverage areas per photographers. So either whether that's through a geo area or through mileage. And our scheduling system is just within our update of our new design within the last couple of months. It allowed us to also add multiple appointments for a given shoot, whereas in the past you only had one. So in your example about a twilight shoot, if you wanted to have a second twilight shoot at a different time, for example, you would have to create two shoots, and that would count against your limit.
Right.
So now it's possible to do that. The system is not automated from the standpoint of it assigns a time based off of the twilight time of the location. However, when a photographer does have a shoot scheduled in the system that has multiple services, those services can be divvied out into separate appointments for as many as you want. So for
Okay.
example, if you had like, let's say you have a photographer that does video, let's say you have a photographer that only does stills, a photographer that does aerials, and then maybe a twilight appointment that the photographer that does just the stills takes care of. You could have 3 different appointment times or slots for that single photo shoot, but the company assigns that, and they assign the time slots for that. The system doesn't do it automatically.
And do you have functionality for teams?
Explain more about teams. And
So,
is
for
that from the
example,
photography side or for the agent side?
I have more than one shooter here. So if I wanted to have a scheduling system where people could book photographer A, B, or C, um, or we just have 3 calendars so that if someone books 9 o'clock, uh, there's 3 different options, for that. Is that part of it, or is it just like a one shooter type of thing?
Yeah, no, you can have multiple shooters. The way that the system works is it will present when a client goes to book an appointment. And let me preface this with, you were saying earlier about how the more involved the system gets, or the more advanced the system gets, the more options there are, right? And so there are a lot of different ways people can set up ViewShoot to work however they want.
Okay.
You can either require the agent select a date and time, or you can not even show them your availability at all, but still allow them to request a shoot, but you just assign them a specific, slot. If your company is set up to where you want agents to pick a specific time slot for a specific photographer, you can do that, and it will present them with time slots for a specific day that any photographer can service. So
Okay.
as long as, so it will present to you, if you have photos and aerials, for example, it will present to you the photographers that can handle those services, and then you select
Perfect.
times based off of that. Another thing that just from talking to users of the system, to other real estate photography companies, a lot of people, it's not that they don't trust the online scheduling, but they want the client to be able to submit a request, but they kind of want a little bit more control. Or they want to be able to adjust and fluctuate based off of requests that are coming in. So we find that a lot of our companies actually create basically like a dummy photographer that services all of their services. And so what'll happen is, when clients go and request a photo shoot, they'll request it for this dummy account, right? This like some of them they'll name them any photographer, so that when a client goes in, they just see any photographer, like the actual name of the person is any photographer, and they select a time frame. The company then assigns that spot, hopefully close to that time frame, to an actual photographer. So
Okay.
it basically allows a company to show and view that like, hey, we have like a ton of availability.
Okay, good.
Um, and then it allows them that additional control on the back end to kind of, adjust things where they need instead of relying on a specific time and photographer for a given appointment.
Perfect. To wrap up here, I have a few important questions, and we're a little bit over our time, so we'll keep this short. But an important sensitive subject that has risen up recently is what you do with our information, especially client information, and what happens with the rights and permissions to our images in your terms of service. So, are you guys doing anything funny with information? And what are we agreeing to if we use ViewShoot?
Look, so it's quite unfortunate of what's been happening recently. I, I also think, unfortunately, the writing was on the wall. We saw a big, massive company raise a lot of money, create a system, attract a ton of business, admittedly taking business away from other companies. Perhaps maybe ViewShoot was one of them.
Right.
And they were talking or catering to the people that had the money, right? The investors. ViewShoot has zero investors. ViewShoot was created by myself.
Right.
I have a real estate photography business. I understand that we are little people in terms of the grand scheme of things, and that copyright issues and people stealing our images, information being sold is something that we simply can't, like, we don't have the time to even defend that. But also that's a big negative impact to our business because we're so small. So
Okay.
look, ViewShoot was created simply to help the real estate photographer and nothing else. There's no other access for information to be sold. Our revenue comes from simply real estate photographers using the system, and we treat that very responsibly and want nothing but the companies that use our system to be confident and have success and grow their business.
Awesome. So, just to be clear, if there were terms of service, there would be in writing that you guys aren't, or there wouldn't be writing that says you get licensing or anything else to our images, and you're not selling our information.
That
In a nutshell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to go and double check and make sure that's the case, because we definitely don't want to give off any type of illusion that
Okay.
is the
Good.
case. But yeah, we're an extremely small company. We are doing this for ourselves, to help all the real estate photographers, and we're not trying to meet any type of quota, any type of um, a base or a client base to then be able to flip the system around. We've been around
Right.
since 2015, and we have every intention to remain so.
All right. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you. It seems like you have a very good target market. It seems like your product is fantastic for who you've made it for. And I think it would satisfy 80 to 90% of the photographers who are out there. I mean, I think the most real estate photographers who do real estate photography are small one person shows who don't need a litany of all sorts of features. So you got the most important features. You got it for a great price. It's easy to use. It looks good. And if you guys want to check it out, you can go to ViewShoot. So just go to viewshoot.com, check it out. And in closing, I know that I have a pretty heavy interview style where I'm always just like lasering in on details and questions. But what are some fun things people should know about you, Lance?
Ooh, let's see. I moved to Denver. I actually have my real estate photography company is in Dallas.
Mhm.
I moved to Denver, so I now operate that business from Denver. I only have one photographer, so I literally have kept it the same. Um, I like to play tennis, so I'm usually probably 4 or 5 times a week I'm out playing tennis. But yeah, I real estate photography was something that I never thought I would get involved in. And I'm super happy that I did, because I get to work on stuff like this and have interviews like this. So I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. It was a great interview. I really appreciate learning about ViewShoot, and look forward to running into you again sometime.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Jonathan.